I'm trying to think of practical examples of Eugene Gendlin's felt sense to help me understand it a bit better. Ideally, really simple examples. And the one I'm thinking of right now, which is probably completely spurious actually, is to do with mathematics. I'm kind of inventing a hypothetical example to see if I can think about how something as rational and explicit as maths might have its constitution within felt experience. Now, I know this is kind of written elsewhere in Lakoff and Nunez's book, where mathematics comes from, and I think Raphael Nunez has written elsewhere about mathematics as an embodied experience. But I'm not as familiar with that as perhaps I should be. So just staying with the felt sense for now. Certainly in terms of, and I'll start with really simple things, addition. If I hold something in my hand, and then something is added to that something I'm holding in my hand, there is a sensorimotor something takes place. There's some kind of felt experience of greater weight. I have to put more effort to hold those two things in my hand, where there was one before. So there's something to do with that, about a sensorimotor experience reflecting some kind of mathematical logic. If you add one thing to something else, then there's a sensorimotor reaction to that. Another one from the kind of visual realm, but nevertheless still felt, and I'll talk about how it's felt in a minute, is again addition. This field actually I'll see if I can use this field as an example. This field is full of molehills. I'll just show you molehills. And as I'm looking at these molehills, I'm not going to count them for now. I'm going to try and pretend I don't know how to count. But as my eyes move from right to left across this field, I'll just do it with my eyes rather than my head and neck. So as my eyes move across this set of molehills, the more molehills there are, the greater extension I have to use for the muscles that move my eyeballs around. Actually, that's a particularly good example either, but there's something there about increase and addition. 1 molehill, 2 molehills, 3 molehills. And as the number of molehills goes up, so that has a corresponding effect, or corresponding requirement on the sensorimotor system that controls and provides feedback from my eyeballs, the movements of my eyeballs. So there seems to be there again a kind of logical connection between mathematics as an explicit set of symbols that one can manipulate symbolically, and one can teach a piece of silicon to manipulate, and the sensorimotor somatic felt sense. When I'm doing that, I'm kind of perceiving my eyeballs moving, and the moreness of that experience, the moreness of those molehills, is showing itself in patterns of activation in the muscles themselves, but all the nervous system that controls that and provides feedback from that. I'm not sure if that really makes sense. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying there is that even something like mathematics might have its felt component. And maybe to the extent that when I see a mathematical sum on a page, something like 2 plus 2 equals 4, I don't even have to, when I see 2 plus 2 equals, I don't even have to think about why that equals 4, or how that equals 4. I just kind of know it, and it appears as a certainty. It appears as a kind of incontrovertible truth. It's a felt sense of truth. It would be very hard to convince me that that sense of truth was incorrect. And perhaps the reason for that certainty lies, and that conviction, as I've spoken about before, lies in its sensorimotor origins as part of the felt sense, part of the intimate processes of the body, with all of the particular salience that intimate processes of the body have, from counting molehills and feeling the accumulation of rocks in one's hand and all of the muscular, kinesthetic, proprioceptive, haptic, tactile experiences that go with that. So I think in some regard, even seeing 2 plus 2 equals on the page seems to be mobilizing some kind of very intimate, close to home experience. And that's where the conviction of those things comes from, I think.